All right, so hello, welcome everybody to our BG5 live this week, and we have a different setting, so I haven't been around for a while, so I'm happy to be back. And Karen is on a well-deserved week of holiday with her family that she does yearly, so she asked me to jump in again. So before we get started, let's welcome our panel. So hello, welcome Anna.
Hello, and I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad you're here, Natalie. So yeah, let's see what happens today.
Yes, I'm very pleased also to see you both again here, and welcome Linda.
Yeah, thank you so much, Natalie. Yeah, it's the same. I'm loving to have you back, and I'm loving to be here with all of you and to talk about the depth.
Yes.
In our design. So I'm looking forward.
Yes, it's going to be a great one. So this is episode 125. What a beautiful number. Whoa, we have done a lot already. And today we're talking about trait 48, restructuring depth. So let's take a look at that. But before we dive into the depth, we're going to share a little bit about October. So October, we just started the month, is all about what we need to survive. So last week, we started off with correction in the 18, work on what has been spoiled. And then all of the survival traits of the survival instinct are actually within this month. So the correction 18 started off last week, and then this week we are taking a look at depth, the well, a source, a resource available in the now. Next week we'll take a look at intuitive insight, the 57, the gentle penetrate to the core in the now. And following that, we'll have the background frequency of continuity, duration, and conservatism. And then comes up values in the 50, the cauldron or enforcer, the guardian and maintaining the tribe. The game player in the 28, preponderance of the great, the challenge is life itself. And then the first week of November, we have the last one of the survival instinct, alertness, the 44, coming to meet the personnel manager. So in October, and we're still in the, how do we say that? In the era or the how do we say that? The quarter of purpose fulfilled through connection, through bonding. So I don't know if any of you both, I don't know what you discussed last week, starting off with survival instinct, if you wanted to share something of your insights about October and going into autumn, and we need to survive. So either Anna or Linda. Yes, Anna.
I don't have a whole lot to say. I don't have this particular trait, but I just think it is very interesting this time of year to be in, quote, survival, into the energy of surviving, because we're headed in the next cycle is winter. So if you don't prepare now, if you don't, work with the transit, the energy that's available now, then you might be feeling it in the next season. That's a really common thing if you're not present right now. And the 48 is all about being present now.
Mm-hmm. That's a great thing. And also building up your immune system, right? To be prepared for the winter time. Yeah, exactly. And anything you'd like to share, Linda, about this month and all of the survival tools and background frequency?
Survival tools, yes. Well, I feel like it's also like preparing us to go inside, to have, like in the fall, the leaves are going to color beautifully, but eventually they are going to fall down, to prepare for winter, as Anna shared beautifully. I feel like it's a time to go back to what our body is telling us, and also, not only telling us but also guiding us through this month, and especially in the times we are in. I feel like it's an interesting month to see how things play out, and if you are able to listen to your instincts and to have the background in our survival instinct, that we are able to sense literally what is correct for us.
Yeah,
in a way.
it's also an awareness function. So body awareness in the now, which is, literally,
Exactly.
as you say, your instincts and for survival. But it is in the now, and it's, a hunch that you get.
That's a good point, because it's a native intelligence. It's a body level intelligence. So,
it's actually the oldest
survival. Yeah, it's not a mental intelligence, but it's a really active, participating, moment to moment to moment sort of intelligence. And yeah, if you're not aware of your body, if you're not checking into sensory input, you can, miss some of the cues you're getting that keep you safe. Whether we're talking about immune systems or the way you eat, whether you're going to be overactive in the winter when it's a time to rest, like Linda said, those kinds of things.
Yeah. So I don't know if any of our attendees here live or in Facebook, I don't know, Anna or Linda, if you watch on Facebook. I don't have it open because I have too many screens right now to take a look at it. Well, everybody welcome also on Facebook. So you can leave your message and we'll take a look at it a little later. But if you have the 48 and you're here live, we would love to know and how you experience it. But let me just start off with sharing about the current environment. So we have trait 20 and trait 34 in the environment, and probably last week as well. And now we are in quality 3. So first of all, we have the personal power in machismo. So the indiscriminate display of power, the display of power that defines any role, or the calculated display of power in order to define the role, a reasoned and calculated display, the communication of disinformation. So it's really about personal power and the indiscriminate display of power. And then we also have contemplation, which is also in the now. It's kind of a theme. Self-awareness, so the understanding derived from analysis of personal actions and effects, the proper attunement and development of the personality through self-consciousness, or self-consciousness in the extreme that hampers development. So very interesting environment that we are in as well. And I don't know, Linda or Anna, if you would like to share anything that comes up for you, seeing and being aware of this current environment that we are in.
I have a little bit to share. My daughter has the 2034 in 3, unconscious. And she's very, very powerful. And she's past her first Saturn return now. So there's a little bit more awareness. There's a little bit more, she talks about wanting to do more retreats, more self development on the inside, because she's very, very powerful. But this has been a power that she hasn't known what to do with. And now that she's older, she's learning this combination of not just indiscriminate displays, but more reasoned displays, more self-aware displays of a healthy level of power.
That is wonderful. And after the 30-year milestone, we get more awareness, right? in BG5 human design, the first 30 years are more of your quote unquote childhood. Huh? It's your younger years of experiencing, and then you get more of to your adulthood energetically then after your 30-year milestone. So you start being more aware and contemplating in case of your daughter. So interesting. And Linda, I saw you wanted to share something too.
Yes. I always take a look at also the times you are in, and I feel like I see machismo play out a lot in these days in the world. And I feel like, and that's also what I shared last week, we are seeking for a balance between the power that is outside of ourselves and everything that's going on in the world, and also a balance within ourselves with our own personal power. And also, the people that are outside in our world also have their personal power. And I feel like at one side, people are, that everyone is, in a sense, holding on to their power, even in what kind of role it is. Like it's a government, they are pushing the power and they are getting more in control. And on the other side, I can see people that are grasping to their individual power, and that are things that are colliding. There's a polarity, and I feel like in this third quality, it's also about pioneering, about finding a new way of balancing out your own power and also the effect of the power of others that are in control. And I really feel it in the world that there is more of a conflict emerging, and also more of a control emerging, but also more of a different reaction, a counter reaction emerging. And I'm really curious how this will end, because somehow it must be balanced out. So I feel like this is a time, and now, especially when we are moving into October with all the awareness, that things will be shifting.
And it is interesting that it says the communication of this information. I think a lot of what we see in the world is about, the communication and what information is shared. And then with that gaining power, right? And displaying power and in a calculated way if you use this information.
Exactly.
Very fascinating. The times we are in. We've never seen it before like this. So
nope.
I was just talking to my assistant in the certification course, and she said, I never would have imagined that these, this period going up to 2027 would be this intense, or this, So it's, it is. So let's take a look at trait 48, today's theme. So today's theme and the background frequency is trait 48 of depth. So with depth, we have a deep, undismissible well of instinctual wisdom and knowledge just waiting to be shared. And as you can see, I like the image, actually, like the deep well that is created here. A storehouse of vital information as a pattern. It's logical circuitry. So it is about patterns and the necessary and qualitative. I feel like there is a letter missing, but anyway.
Qualitative,
qualitative. Foundation that is a prerequisite to establish the common good. Express and share depth in order to help others recognize, correct, and perfect the world we live in. Bringing logical and workable solutions to the problems of society. And when you have this, you may experience feeling of inadequacy, fears that you won't be able to explain your solution. And with the survival instinct function and each awareness function, actually also all of the traits carry a fear, an anxiety with it. So here we have the fear that you won't be able to explain your solution. You may become overly concerned about developing skills you feel you lack, but you have a deep potential solutions that can emerge naturally and clearly as a foundation for evaluating, perfecting, and mentoring the skills of others. And we'll see in just a bit, the other side. On the other side, we have the skills in the 16. So that is what the 48 is mentoring. So with that, I would like to know, from Linda, I know you have this in your design. So how do you experience your 48 in your design?
I feel like it supports my instinctive knowing, also with my 5720. And it's beautiful because it's indeed in my transformation, and I really have to surrender to the wisdom from this well because I don't know where it's coming from. But I know sometimes I just know. And what I really notice is, because it's also in the 5th line, I bring practical solutions. So I have like a intuitive knowing for the gifts and talents of others, how to call them out. And it really supports my other instinctive knowing in the now about what I need to share, what I need to say, even if I don't know where it's coming from, but trusting it, learning to trust it. That's something I needed to learn during my life. Because it's wisdom. You cannot rationalize it. You cannot say where it comes from. But I also feel that's really beautiful. That's what it says here. It's to establish the common good. It's really about making things better. When I share something, it's all about making things better, and also to help others to recognize, and that's what I notice in working with my clients, that they have negative thought patterns, and I'm going to help them to recognize them, see it, and also to make it a turnaround in how they take a look at themselves. And sometimes I just say things or bring practical solutions that I don't even know I know, but I just share. So. And and about the feelings of inadequacy, I can struggle with that I feel, am I the person to tell them that? And they spend money on me, and and I don't know if I'm worth it, so all my open functions are coming at play. So it's in the survival instinct, so an awareness function, so there are fears. But I feel like in coming to terms with it and trusting and experiencing that my logical solutions are really beneficial for others, I come at peace with it, and I'm really enjoying it more and more and more. So.
Yeah, wonderful, and it is truly instinctive. That is what I hear in what you share. Yes.
One of the things
yes, Anna
mention is this is a projected trait, which means for some people that might be newer to this, it means you need the other. That it's about waiting a bit before you share a solution, waiting for the other to invite you, to cue you, that they're available for your solution or available for your suggestion. And the dynamic there is sometimes this, I mean, I'm talking sort of from the outside of this, from observation, because I don't have the 48. But in terms of a trait that is projected, it requires the process. It can be an instant process, or it can take days or weeks of waiting for someone to be available for your suggestion or solution or whatever. And it's easy to feel inadequate or impatient or frustrated or in that waiting if you don't know that that's a perfectly acceptable part of this trait. Is just the timing of it. Your solution won't be received unless you kind of wait for that cue, that invitation from somebody else. Then it is welcomed. It does become a projected process is for the other person, is to guide the other person. So if you're not waiting for the invitation to guide someone, you're going to feel inadequate. You're going to stumble around. But when you get that cue and you go, okay, here's a suggestion or whatever the situation is, then you're going to feel more successful. You're going to be effective. That depth will sort of pour out of you. Like Linda was saying, she doesn't know where it's coming from sometimes or what's all there, but it can come forward then organically.
Yeah, beautifully said. So yeah, it's all about timing and being recognized and invited to share about your depth. And I remember we had a student in one of my foundation courses, and she had this depth, and she shared beautifully that there's so much there that sometimes she felt the fear that she couldn't explain it, that she didn't have a way to get it out there, or didn't know how to share it all. But if you wait for the right timing, it's actually about surfacing up when you have the depth, surfacing back up, and then bring the solution kind of in a back to simple words or whatever, right? So the logic and the pattern behind it for the society and to establish the common good, right? It is collective information for the broader world. And then if she waited for the right timing, then it was easier to share, right? And when you have this depth, you may have this anxiety that you don't know how to explain your solution, and you will not be able to share all of the depth that you feel, right? In your survival instinct. Yeah,
this is really important, because that's really what I recognize. And because I work with clients, they automatically invite me by working with me, and I always share it with them that I sometimes say things that I cannot explain, but I just know that they need to hear. And what I notice is that timing gets refined over time in being more comfortable with it, that it happens because it just surfaces, as you shared. But I also noticed that in the interaction with the other person, because it's a projected strength, and you have to be recognized and invited. And I feel like when I am in a conversation with someone, then things are going to emerge at the right timing. But that's only because I am entering my well of depth correctly as well. So I feel like if I'm not thinking about it, that I have to explain things, but I feel comfortable also that people are acknowledging me and that they really want to work with me. I feel like things come up at the exact right time.
Yeah, wonderful. We actually have some people here that have the 48 as well in their design. So we have Yvonne, Maria, and Lisa Renee. So Maria, and for all of you, if you want to share live, please, raise your hand or say it in the chat, and then we can, catch you online as well in our Zoom room. But Maria sharing, I have, whoopsie, there it went again. Oh, what I'm doing. There we go. So Maria was sharing, I have the unconscious trait, 48 in quality 6 in what's hidden. And so helpful to know that it is projected energy. Always such a challenge for me to wait for the invitation. Yes, most surely. And, we have a lot of projected energy in our design. And although you may not be an advisor, this energy to be shared really needs the waiting for an invitation. And Lisa Renee is sharing, I have the 48 in my conscious past direction, and there is so much depth there, but people are only ready for the level they are. So just knowing that they will ask, and then I can share to the level that they asked, and not feel I have to go fully into depth of it. And then Yvonne is sharing, I always need to try a lot of times before I think that I can do something before I can share it with others. And I like to practice a lot and repeat things for getting better. That is actually a very good point, Yvonne, because it is about repeating as well in this circuitry. Repeating to perfect, right? And to perfect the skills. And with your depth, you are able to guide those that have skills to perfect their skill. And she continues on. And then sometimes I think that I'm not good enough. Yeah, which is the same, which is in line with inadequate, right? Feeling of inadequacy, but actually it is the process that is inherent in this energy. And Lisa shares also, if you go too much into depth when they invite you, you can overwhelm them. Exactly. So pay attention to what they are asking, not the depth of what you know or see or have. That's an interesting point as well, because you have a lot of depth, but maybe all the details, and I love the details, that is in my design, are not always of interest for those that are asking your depth. Yeah, I think that's beautifully in line with the student that I had that said it's really the talent to surface back up again. Yes, Anna, I saw that you
unmuted. Yeah. I had a little experience this morning. Like I said, I don't have the trait, but the transit is activating things. And I was doing some research on a project that I'm doing with another person, and I was getting into the depth of it. I was like writing notes and, 5 different resources and getting all excited. It was something very interesting to me. And at one point I just was like, oh, my head is so full. I can't do this anymore. And my project partner happened to call me, text me. And so we had this little brief conversation, and he actually invited me to share some of the information that I was gathering. And I thought, oh, this is really interesting, because that's what happened. I was getting overwhelmed myself with too much. Then his little invitation came in, because we often have conversations about this project. And then I sort of came to the surface, and I thought, okay, I got to simplify this, because, we're putting this thing together in stages. Here's step 1. Then there's a second step. Then there's a third step. So, it was just, it was a little example of feeling the transit of this energy, which is not so familiar to me. I can get into details, but the depth, that digging around, that was a little bit different for me.
Yeah, it's beautiful that you shared it, because it is the background frequency. We started talking about, if you have it in your design, but if you don't have it in your design, you may experience it right now, being influenced by the background frequency. So beautiful example, and literally, about the depth. And Lisa continues on, by the way, beautifully. So with the thing of, not sharing all of your depth at once, but trust that they will come back for more when they are ready, rather than, give them everything in the first invite. If you have an open willpower, however, you may be trying to prove your depth rather than sharing what they invite you to share. So yeah, beautiful observations, Lisa, and thank you for sharing all of that. It is sharing, by the way, which is the collective sharing circuitry as well. All right, let's continue on with oops, what was that? With how you get affected when you are connected. So the shadow of trait 48, when you don't have trait 48, but you do have the opposite one, which is trait 16. So when you have trait 16, but you don't have trait 48, the questions that you may ask yourself is, are you self-critical and feel like you don't have the adequate depth? Do you experience a feeling of inadequacy? And are you always searching for a source of material that will allow you to concentrate on perfecting your talent, your theory, or your solution so you can make it available to the world? So the problem that you may be experiencing is that you have the ability to identify with a skill, but you may find that you don't have the depth you need. So you may think you are inadequate and become self-critical without enough depth to ground your skill. The solution, however, is you are designed to work in a partnership with somebody who can bring depth and dimension to your skill, as well as properly direct it and correct it and encourage your own disciplined practice. Repeating. Working with somebody else who has the 48 of depth allows you to put your skill, energy, and vitality towards being of service in a bigger way with depth. So that is if you have trait 16 in your design. And Tonya is sharing, oh man, that is so true, as I have trait 16 without the 48. Well, that is interesting that you recognize it instantly. So yeah, it is in the strength of talent. And if you have, the full strength, you have both depth and the skills. But if you have only 16, then your talent may come out when guided properly with the depth of somebody who has trait 48. So anything, Linda or Anna, you would like to share about the shadow?
I was thinking about, because I read a little before we opened today. And when you're using the trait well, there's this innate reward. It could be financial, it could be you get awards or accolades or feedback or recognition or something like that. And when you have the shadow of trait 48, it might feel like you never get recognized. You never get, awarded or money from this unless you are aware of how this process works.
Yeah, it's often the talent can be very like playing the piano or in sports or in dance or whatever. And those type of professions need support, like material support, for them to be able to perfect their skills, right? And you often find that that may be a harder part when you have a wonderful skill, but then to find the material resources to be able to practice it properly. Yeah. Anything you would like to share, Linda? Because I see you are sharing to the chat, or since you have the 48, do you have the experience of working with people with the 16?
Yes, I have the experience, and that's totally echoing with what you both were sharing. And I feel like, that they don't have enough depth. So the instinctive knowing what to perfect, like they have a constant uncertainty of, but is this a skill? Is this my talent? Is this really what I'm really good at? So that's what I sense with the people who do have trait 16, but not the 48. So
wonderful. So you truly properly direct, correct, and encourage them in their own disciplined practice, right?
Exactly. And I tell them what their talents are and encourage them to proceed.
Yeah. Wonderful, wonderful. All right. Well, today's quality is quality 4, which is restructuring, and quality 4 is the influencer. So first of all, on the side of elevation, we have the awareness that depth and its possible expression will face restrictions with a resulting taste for short-term projects. The good sense to take advantage of restriction on short-term activity to assess the situation and restructure for long-term goals that will facilitate development when activity resumes. Wow, what a long sentence is that? And on the other side, we have the challenge, a taste for long-term projects that will be frustrated in restraint, a resistance to restructuring on speculation with the tendency when activity resumes to have to do so anyway. So that is the quality of today, quality 4. So I don't know what quality you have in your design, Linda. I actually didn't really take a look at it. Did you remember? Let's see. Quality 5. Okay,
the 5th quality, and I don't have any 4th lines in my.
No networking influencer. Well, anything you would like to share here, or Anna? Or I don't know if any of you have the quality 4 with the 48 that is here present.
I have, I'm a 2-4, so I have a number of quality 4s. So just from that perspective, you need other people. Again, it sort of reinforces this process of you influence other people, but those people gravitate to you. So there's this equal exchange. And when you don't have those people, the network or the fractal, we call it, the people around you that are interested in your gifts, then you can feel restricted. You can feel uncertain. You don't know whether this is a short-term thing or a lifetime thing. So I just think that's, the idea of being frustrated in restraint is the challenge if you don't have the network. I had a situation in my life where I had a great community and I chose to leave and was at a loss for this network. And it was really hard to rebuild and reestablish and reconnect. And that's all restructuring. That was the challenge, was to do it from a whole different energy than I had been previously. So there's this long-term project and short-term project. If you're looking short-term, you can kind of reassess your goals or reorient to a target that you're after. But on the challenge level, if you're looking too far ahead, it's hard to restructure because there's too many variables. We have to stay, again, in this, if we're applying it to the survival function, you have to stay in the now with it.
Yeah.
And kind of keep proceeding forward, keep mastering, keep retrying, repeating. And then it doesn't feel like a restraint. It just feels like you're developing.
Yeah, the process of growth kind of feels like, right? In perfecting the skills or perfecting the depth in this case, but in perfecting the use of the depth, maybe. Yeah, love that. Anything for you, Linda?
Yeah, that's what triggered my mind as well. It's especially the sentence said to assess the situation and restructure for long-term goals that will facilitate development when activity resumes. I feel like the depth can help the business, or for me it feels like business-wise with in influence, but it can help the community or your sphere of influence being more impactful, because it brings out what needs to be perfected and what needs to be corrected in order to also have its benefits for the long term. So I feel like it's maybe in the short term, it's you feel like, oh, it's a failure, I don't have influence, or some things are not going right. But I feel like you are just perfecting things in order that it has more depth, more talent, more potential in a longer term, and then it's more influential in the longer term. So because it's so much to read, but that's what I feel, how it emerges for me. And then you restructure it from a not
not a limitation, but an opportunity.
Yes,
yeah,
exactly, and not from your mind, but from something that needs to be to surface.
Yeah, exactly, to service the common good, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, wonderful. All right, anything in the chat? I see Maria is a 4-6 and also have been moving home a lot, no community apart from online friends and groups, which may be challenging these times, right? To be a fourth line quality in your public role and not being able to really connect so much maybe with friends and family and other groups. Yeah. All right, so let's take a look at the celebrity of today. So the life work theme. So the celebrity of today is Stephen Arroyo. He is an author and astrologer, an American best-selling author and astrologer. And it's interesting, he has, as you can see, multiple books that he wrote, but the life work theme is tension. You have an innate depth to bring understanding to problems and provoke the proper skills, spirit, purpose needed to provide a workable solution. So really bring the depth into it, right? So I think it's fascinating, and BG5 Human Design is partly also based on astrology. So this is a beautiful example of a celebrity with this life work theme. I don't know if you want to share anything, and it's part of the life work of tension, the provoking, the 39-38. Both myself and Linda also have that in our design. So yeah.
Yeah, what also caught my eye is that the grounding balance is in the 21. 4. So I feel like the 48 is also for the common good, and the 21 also being, in the 4 quality, being influential also in your own network and in your own environment, and bringing tension is always something to provoke something that creates something better for the community. And it's also being in control, and by writing books you are in control of the information you deliver. That's your book, it's material, it's your way of materializing your depth in a way. So I really find it fascinating to see how things play out, and also to give people a different perspective on their own skills, their spirit, and their purpose. So that's what caught my eye.
Yeah, wonderful. And Anna?
That's interesting, because what caught my eye when you're talking about the 39 is in the 48, we have this internal intelligence. And in the 39, we have emotional intelligence. There's a balance between conscious and unconscious there. And then and they're both awareness functions. And just again, on a side note, I was looking at this person-to-person astrology. That's exactly what the 4 is, you know, your influence, your connectedness to other people. So
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
And relationships.
Yeah. Transformation, all, you know,
Yeah.
it takes a lot of depth to actually truly transform. So all these titles and the number of the books and his life experience, I mean, you know, there's a lot of depth that he's providing information for other people.
Yeah. So fascinating how it maps out on, right? These celebrities really portraying the life work theme. Yeah. Wonderful. All right. So with that, I'd like to share about the replays that are available for our mini summit that we had in August. So you can go to our resources, the free resource library, and you'll find the 3 sessions that we did. And also, if you want to know about your own design, you can get your free chart, your free personalized chart, and download it on our website, and then see what you have in your design, and you know, and keep it to the side when we discuss the background frequency each week. And also, you can get a free report about the basics of your design, and watch past episodes also in our free resource library. And then you can check out also our courses. Courses have started. You can still register for some courses, and the new courses in the new semester will come up in January 2022. But you can still register for some courses if you want to. So with that, we're wrapping up today's BG5 Live. And I would love, before we wrap it up, to hear from both Anna and Linda some words of wisdom on how to, you know, what to look out for, or what depths do you want to share for this week? Yes, Anna.
Just use your awareness, because this is fundamentally about awareness of your intelligence and how deeply that goes, how deeply that's embedded in your body, not just your mind, but in your body. So I would suggest, you know, some of the key words we were talking about are, you know, inadequacy or not waiting, you know, those contrasts between feeling like you have depth and you have people to share it with, or you don't have depth, you don't have anybody to share it with. Just kind of track or notice or be aware of where you are in that process.
Yeah, wonderful. And Linda, how about for you? What do you want to give our listeners and viewers?
Well, I want to give them some depth. Now I cannot bring it up to the surface right away, but I was responding also to what Anna was sharing. I feel like it's and also for this whole month, it's about awareness, and to also what was shared in the beginning. I feel like in this time of year and this time of background frequency, we are directed inwards to what our body awareness, also what Anna was sharing, and be aware what comes up literally, and don't get in your mind about things that pop up. It can come from a place of depth, from a place you don't understand. If you would like to share it, please be aware that you are invited Otherwise, you can feel resistance. Also be aware of feeling inadequate, that you feel like I have to start workshops or whatever to develop things. Just be in the now moment, see what shows up, and surrender to what life brings us, especially in these turbulent times, because they are crazy, and trust what your body tells you.
Yeah.
And that's what I would like to share.
Yeah, wonderful. Yeah, I so agree. It's all about intuition, body awareness in the now, and we have a full month to consider, starting off with this depth. So I'm really looking forward also to the coming sessions, and I'll try to participate again. Yeah, no, I probably will be here. And yeah, with that, everybody, a beautiful week, and looking forward to see you all next week in our BG5 Live, continuing on the survival instinct. Yeah. So thank you, and goodbye, and have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Okay, bye-bye. See you next week.